Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Caccera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Caccera.
Welcome in, Joe Caccera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you for those that are following us on the Facebook feed. You may notice, for those that do happen to try to follow us during the week, we try to keep the shows consistent Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, around 3 o'clock Pacific time. However, because of all of our schedules changing from time to time, we will switch that around. Last week, we made an announcement going forward so everybody kind of keeps an eye on things. We're actually going to be doing the podcast now Monday through Thursday. Excited about some additions to the show. Mondays will be, going forward, we'll be talking about the equity share program and how to access wealth from your home without any debt. That's right, accessing wealth from your home without taking on any additional debt. It's a great program. We're going to talk more and more about that. And on Wednesdays, if we're on schedule, Mike and I are going to be having our show going forward to Italian Guys Talking Real Estate. Welcome back, Mike.
Hey, paisan over here.
And we're not just fooling you. Today is Thursday because of a change of schedule this week, so we'll try to do this every Wednesday if we can, having a lot of fun. Again, the focus is always education information, but we have fun along the way. And we'll continue our series next week with Jack Russo. We've been starting something new in Silicon Valley. We'll continue that as well. For more information, this is great that you guys follow the show on Facebook and love any type of additional exposure we get. But the main thing is be sure to download the podcast. You could go to iTunes, type in Real Estate Radio Live, Stitcher, any of those places, or you can just go to our website, reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Today, Mike and I are going to be talking about for sale by owner. That's right, for sale by owner, what you really need to know, how to educate. Not necessarily, as I always say, the best you could do is educate yourself enough. I always say that we don't expect, the clients that we talk to and listen to the show for you to become experts at real estate and finance. What we want to try to do is just provide you with enough information so you could ask great questions, you could pick the right team, you could really assess all your different options and opportunities before doing a transaction. So here we go for sell by owner.
All right, one of my favorite topics. We've talked about this before. I think throughout the years we've been doing that. I mean, we've been on radio and podcasts together for off and on for what, 7-ish years.
Almost 7 years.
So yeah, we've talked about it, and it's always a fun hot button topic. I know there's people out there that think one way or think another. Mm-hmm. The thing about real estate is that everyone thinks they're kind of an expert at real estate nowadays with, everything's online, Zillows, the Trulias. And this is not because of the internet age. I think over decades, people think that they know a lot about real estate. And I'm going to just put it out there, you don't, really. I mean, yeah, you know about what's going on with the market somewhat, and you see, you hear what's on the news, which is typically 3 to 6 months behind.
Right.
So you're getting old information. And so I'm just going to put it out there, as someone that does this every day, you're not doing it every day. Right. And so there's a lot of things that are involved in selling real estate that we want to make you aware of, especially if you're thinking about doing it for sale by owner. And I don't mean to sound contentious. It's just the truth, I don't tell a doctor to do what they're going to do, right? I mean, the thing that always amazed me about people that wanted to sell their own homes is like, if you're going to get surgery, are you going to do it on your own, or are you going to have a doctor do it? This is your most people's biggest financial asset.
Yeah, and Mike, what's funny to me is I listened to you kick this off, this topic. It's a great topic, is that when the majority of geniuses show up? When the market's awesome.
Yeah, of course.
When the market's doing this, everybody's sitting at cocktail parties talking, my house is worth $2 million. No, mine's $3 million. Mine's $4 million. If I needed to sell that, right? It's just so funny how
they predicted it.
We predicted, and you get a lot. And people sometimes will compare it to the stock market and things like that, but it's no comparison. I mean, it's no comparison at all. You're trading a stock, you could trade that very easily. It's a commodity. if you buy Cisco or sell Apple or something like that, you don't need a broker. You could go on and do that yourself. You could do your own research. There's so much more involved in real estate, and you've heard me talking all the time. I mean, now I'm a big proponent of change, education, and information, but we do a ton of research on this show, and we could tell you what the statistics and the odds are. So let's talk. Let me go through that real quick, and then you could get started on the list of what people need to know.
Okay.
For a person that's been researching this, pretty extensively for the last several years, let me tell you how this really kind of lays out before Mike, really sets the foundation for this. And that is 95 to 96% of people start their search online, whether they're buying or selling, even with loans. That's just, I think most of us would say, okay, we get it, understand that, that's cool. However, keep in mind when someone gets ready, when they make a decision to buy or sell a home, understand that people have different statistics, and there's third-party statistics all over here. Somewhere between 85 and 90% of people still prefer to use a qualified realtor when they decide to buy or sell a home. So if you follow that, you understand that most people still see the value. Now, the other thing, a lot of people will stop at that research. The other thing that continued research will tell you that consumers are looking for two other things. One, they're looking to negotiate more, and because they have a better understanding of it, which doesn't mean you know everything. And the last thing is they're looking for a better use of technology. So those are the two things that the consumer will tell you over and above. So the reason I wanted to set that stage, Mike, is that now if we had 95 to 96% of people that were doing the research, and then the statistics showed that 30% when they decided to buy or sell a home, wanted to use a real estate agent, which you think, wow, look at the trends. But the trends haven't changed that much. The trends hasn't changed that much.
No, it hasn't, and people still want to work with professionals. We're speaking to the masses here, but I know people think about it, think, oh, I can do this or that. Yeah. And really, where the conversation I have with buyers and sellers now is, where does our value come in? And I say our because I'm an active agent, working agent. Where does our value come in now, especially with the internet? Because before the internet, before the Zillow and the Redfin and all that, brokers' value was holding on to the data. Right. They had all the information, the listings, the comps, all that stuff. Well, that's kind of out there now. So where does our real value come in? Because most of the time, like you said, people start almost 95, 96% start online because there's a lot of information out there. So our value really is on the buy side. So if we're helping a buyer, the real value is not really finding the house anymore because it's pretty easy for a client to do that. Now, with that being said, there's some caveats to that. There's off-market stuff. There's, being a part of a big brokerage we have access to. There is some more private information that we do have access to as agents. But in general, most people are going to start their search online. And likewise, with sellers, they're going to be looking at their Zestimates and their whatever. And we could do a whole show on Zestimates and Redfin estimates and even Realtor.com estimates and how inaccurate they typically are. But they're looking at it. And so the Internet's really opened up the whole data thing here, okay? So where does the value come in? It's a couple of different things. One is negotiation, is negotiating the best possible deal for you on the buy or sell side. And then for listings, it's the marketing plan, the exposure to not only the brokerage community, but buyers and everyone else. The next thing is liability, taking on the liability and the disclosure. If you've ever looked at a real estate file, well, we're mostly paperless now, but if I printed out a real estate file, it would be like a couple inches thick with the amount of paperwork that we have to comply with and make sure that you do as well by law, and you're covering your own butt, basically. And then the other thing is managing the entire process, and this is what I really wanted to spend a lot of time on today, was the amount of people you have to communicate and interact with throughout a transaction, which is why I don't believe that the real estate industry will ever be Ubered. And what I mean by that is, like the cab industry, taxi cab industry is basically being eaten alive by Uber and Lyft and all the other rideshare. I don't believe that is going to happen and make it, and not just Uber, but make it virtual. I don't believe that the entire real estate transaction is going to go online. Right. Because of all the humans involved in the transaction.
Well, I think that, unfortunately, Uber gets in some cases, they get a bad rap because people say, we're not going to be Uberized. But, Uber's not really a bad thing. It really, what they did is they took a really super archaic, ridiculous system, right? And they're still providing a better service. And someone would argue now, sometimes the pricing doesn't change all that much.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a better service. And you talk about a good use of technology, right? I guess what I meant to say is more like automated real estate 100%. Transaction.
Yeah. And because I deal with and you do too on the mortgage side, it's the same thing. What you go through in a transaction, what crazy things come up when you have humans involved in something and a lot of humans involved in something, there's going to be things that are going to come up throughout the transaction that a computer just can't replace.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we come back. I'll have you go through, I think it would be a process to have you go through kind of the list of what let's say a person's getting ready to sell their house on their own.
Yeah.
We'll have you go through a list of all the different things that they're going to have to be responsible, call on, meet with, all that kind of stuff.
Sounds good.
All right. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, sitting alongside Mike D'Ambrosio, as we try to do going forward every Wednesday, 2 Italian guys talking real estate. We're going to take a quick break. Stick with us. We'll come right back, continue the show in a minute. Thanks.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
How would you like the opportunity to secure a record low interest rate while buying and or selling your home? In addition, how would you like to save 20% or more on your entire real estate transaction? Finally, how would you like to bundle all your real estate services in one location? Well, now you can achieve this with BundleSelect.com. That's right, save on real estate lending and title. With BundleSelect.com, technology and a personal concierge are at your service to save you time and money. BundleSelect's hand-picked team of experts will save you thousands of dollars by bundling real estate lending and title services. BundleSelect.com gives you all the control, including using your own realtor. I'm Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, and I have been on the radio educating consumers for years. I'm here to tell you BundleSelect.com is the best way to save money on real estate. By bundling services, you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Visit BundleSelect.com.
The estimated minimum savings are based on a comparison with the national average. Individual results may vary, and the estimated savings are not guaranteed. Bundle Select Inc. is a licensed real estate broker. California Bureau of Real Estate Broker License Number 004666902.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, sitting alongside Mike D'Ambrosio today. We're going to be doing the show every single Wednesday, as long as the schedule permits. Today is Thursday because the schedule did not permit this week, so here we are again.
Here we are.
2 Italian guys talking real estate. We hope to continue to bring more and more valuable education information, a little bit of humor and fun along the way. Today we're talking about for sale by owner, what you really need to know. We're educating you. We kind of gave you some statistics to back what we're talking about, and now Mike's going to take us through the process of, what it looks like to live and breathe that if someone wanted to do that.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of things. As a for sale by owner, the biggest thing is you don't even have access to the MLS,
right,
which is going to get you the most exposure possible on a listing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just talking Santa Clara County, Silicon Valley. We have like 15,000 subscribers, MLS, that's agents and brokers. And then that gets exposed to 15,000 clients with multiple buyers and et cetera. And as a for sale by owner, you don't have access to that.
Right.
So number one. But as far as people you have to interact with, let's just go through a list because it's a lot of things. Number one, you're going to be interacting directly with the buyer. Okay, which I think that's like probably the most. We could probably just stop there, but that's the most important thing is you have to interact with the buyer. And again, the purpose of having an agent is to be a buffer to that and to represent you and your interest, your best interest, and then the other agent is to represent their client's best interest. Which again is why I'm not a huge believer in dual agency, which we could do a whole nother show on one day if we want. But again, so number one, you have to interact with the buyer yourself, which in itself is probably a little bit crazy. The second thing is you'd have to interact with the buyer's agent. Too. Mm-hmm. So again, just another layer. The third, and this is more for other states, and I know we have a lot of podcast listeners across the country,
Right.
You'd have to interact with the buyer's attorney
Mm-hmm.
because attorneys get involved in real estate transactions in a lot of other states.
Right.
And you don't want to interact with attorneys. No offense to the attorneys out there, but okay. The next one is the buyer's home inspector.
Mm-hmm.
You can always get inspections on your house, but that doesn't necessarily mean the buyer doesn't have. They're allowed to get their own too. And so you would have to be interacting with that report and what the buyer's home inspector might say as opposed to your home inspector. And then similarly with like a termite inspection. So those are the two main inspections you're going to have. Home, property inspection, termite, maybe a roof, maybe a pool, maybe a well inspection, maybe a septic. I mean, there's a lot of different inspections that could happen on a property that you might have to interact with.
Well, as you go through those, Mike, I'm telling you, the one that to me is the most, I don't know, dangerous is not the right word, but the most potential for issue and not getting anything done, and just 90% of people, I don't know, this is just my statistic, I don't know, I'm guessing, because doing this so long, most people, it's a very emotional transaction.
Yeah.
Especially if you're selling your home, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's your home, it's you've been there, you've put money into it,
Your
you
memories.
have an idea, right? And all that's normal.
Yeah.
That's another reason for a real estate agent. So my point is, just that one fact of you're trying to expect that a seller is going to be 100% non-emotional about negotiating about their house. And what are the odds
Impossible.
of that?
Impossible.
What are the odds of that?
It is. I mean, I've had some of the most level-headed clients, I thought, in the beginning of a transaction become not level-headed. I'll just say it I'll just say it nicely. I'll keep it that way, But it's a great point. And then just to continue on, a couple other, the buyer's lender you'd be interacting with, the appraisers, the title companies, in some cases the town or the municipality that you live in if there's going to be some permits or different things with that. And again, but just to go back with the buyer, I mean, that's the real main thing. And then as a seller, you're holding the open houses open. Mm-hmm. You're scheduling the showings. Yep. You're doing the marketing, making the flyers, putting in the ads, whatever. It is a lot of things. And again, keep in mind that you're going to have to be the one interfacing with all these different parties. And again, that's why I believe it's going to be really hard to automate this process.
Yeah, I mean, the other piece that you didn't touch on, which there's so much here, but we could go into so much detail and depth here, Mike, but, just negotiating the terms, right?
Yeah.
So you know what that's like. So if you have real estate agents on each side, you're going to talk about, okay, love your house, make an offer. That's another thing. Who's going to review the offers? They're going to review the offers?
Yeah.
Are they going to catch the fact that the contingencies? Is it a 7-day, 10-day? What if there's no contingencies?
Exactly.
What if there's as is? What if there's, we could go on and on about all the different terminology used in contracts that if you don't understand it,
you're screwed.
Right. And one of the first things an attorney, and I have a real estate attorney on this show probably every other month or so.
Yeah.
And Dean Rossi, and he's explaining it. He's explaining
he's a character, man.
He is. But he's explaining it all the time. He says, if I see a lawsuit come in and it's a consumer that decided to do it on their own, he said, I'm telling you, it's not
forget about it. That's what he would say. Forget about it. As another Italian guy.
Yeah, so
2 Italians and an attorney.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that's the thing. And I mentioned it earlier on in the podcast, is going through a broker, the liability, we take on a lot of that liability because we have errors and omissions insurance and all. There's value in all of that, why we get paid. And again, I'm sure Mr. Rossi is salivating when he sees a for sale by owner for sure, because there's guaranteed somewhere that the seller screwed up or didn't disclose something properly or didn't have the right paperwork in place.
Yeah.
Almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
So
I think the other exercise to go through, let's just say you're thinking about for sale by owner, and Mike and I touched a little bit on the break, but it's worthy bringing it up again. I think one of the best exercises anyone could go through is kind of go through what your time is worth. Mm-hmm. And, if you're a business person, if you own a company, if you're a W-2 employee, I don't care what it is, everybody kind of knows, right? What your hourly wage is. Is it $50, $100?
Yeah.
Are you making $300 an hour? You go on and on. Let's just take a number. And then I would just take that number and see what your time is worth. And if it is $100 an hour, for an example, and you're going to spend the next 20 to 30 hours just preparing to try to sell your house, You just got to put a number on that and figure out what's that like, and then what does that take you away from your other daily activities, whether it's your family, spouse, friends, whatever. I would just suggest, again, that, as I do to everybody, just go through an exercise. That's a great thing to do it. Don't get caught up in doing it emotionally or looking at a chart and seeing an advertisement online or on the newspaper and TV saying, look how you could save $50,000, and just think about it that way. You really need to think about it, back into it, start from the beginning, list all the stuff like Mike just went through, get an idea, the people you're going to have to contact, the people you're going to have to interact with, all these things, and just assign a time to it and how much time it's worth. And most people, I would suggest, Mike, I mean, I know in my experience, yours too, unless they're retired and they're really like excited about something like this, they have nothing better to do, most people don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, no, I would say so. I would say not. Definitely.
So go through. The best thing, we've been doing this a long time. The focus is always education and information. This is no different. So if you're thinking about it, go through the exercise or call Mike and have you walk through it, right? I mean, that'd be another good thing. Someone call you up, Mike, and say, gee, I'm really thinking about this, and I know you'd take them right through it like you're doing this in more detail.
Walk them through the whole process. And again, I just want to go back to what you had mentioned earlier about like buying stocks or even financial advisors. Most people out there don't hesitate to use a financial advisor to buy a life insurance policy or a mutual fund or whatever, Roth IRA.
And they pay them ongoing.
So why wouldn't you, hire a professional for your biggest asset? Most people in this area, your house is a bigger asset than probably the things you have with your financial advisor.
It's true.
So just think about that. I know the doctor example is a little bit more extreme, but it's just trying to prove a point where it's like, that's what we're here for, the professional. That's what the professionals are here to help you with. And I'm not going to sit here and say every agent is great or professional or whatever. In every industry, there's people that might not be worth their salt. But the point is that you really got to just, make sure you hire the right person and get the best value out of it.
No, that's a good point, though. Let's finish up the next couple of minutes and talk about that, because I think you just said something made me realize I think that could be part of the challenge we're faced with, Mike, when I say we, our industry. We know these numbers. You've heard me talk about them all the time if you listen to the show and watch the show, and that is roughly 10% of people in both of our industries do about 90% of the business.
Yeah.
It could be 10 or 12, but you get my point.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the issue. And what I mean by that is the perception, if you think about it, so the odds are if you meet 10 mortgage planners or 10 real estate agents, the chances are maybe one or two of them are going to be professional, run it like a business, treat it like a business.
Correct.
Right? The other one are going to be part-time. Well, we do it to
On
make
side,
money. When we're done doing our plumbing, we'll go sell a house or whatever. Nothing against people who do it part-time. That's their choice. But I guess my point behind it, maybe you could speak to it.
Yeah.
That could be the reason, right? I mean, people probably, the odds are, they don't understand someone like yourself who is in that 10%, what you really do to make sure you're prepared to offer the very best value to the consumer possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my point.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. And so you should be figuring this out as you go through the interview process and the vetting process and making sure you're interviewing qualified professionals or people that are full-time and doing this and running it like a business and take it seriously. I remember we did a show like long time ago about the top 10 questions or the top 10 something questions asked. Yeah. And we got called. Remember we got like a bunch of calls that day? I don't know what it was. We piqued some people's interest in it, but anyways, we could even do another show on that. But I guess to your point, really make sure that you are vetting who you're hiring, I guess, right?
Yeah, because, let's face it, if the number one complaint on the real estate side, some people would say money or cost. It's not. You know what it is? It's lack of communication. Lack of communication. I could tell you've heard me say this before. Mike and I work all the time. Mike is an exception. But I'm telling you, there is only a handful. I can't tell you how many transactions I'm working with on a daily basis, and I don't get return emails from the fellow real estate lenders I'm working with or whatever. And so I understand from the consumer's perspective because it's very stressful. So the point is, like Mike was saying, understand that there are some people out here that are really, really doing a good job, and they invest in their business. They treat it like a business. I'll say it all the time. The people you want to look for are the ones that are set up to be more relational. They care about you instead of the transaction. That is a big, big thing to look for. And someone might say, well, Joe, what does that mean? Mike, what does that mean? To me, it would be the kind of questions, the way you answer the questions the consumer asks you, like when they ask you about your marketing, what your strategy is, how you would list a house, how you would stage a house. You're going to have answers for all those.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're not going to say things like, oh, don't worry about it, I've done this a long time. The one I love, too, and I always make fun of on both of our industries is when someone automatically says, you know, I'm in the top 1% in Santa Clara County.
Yeah.
Well, what exactly does that mean for me?
Right.
You're probably doing good. You're probably making some decent money, right?
Yeah. What does it mean for you?
So as a consumer, you know, dig deeper. And as Mike said, when you're doing the interview, ask questions about, you know, why them? Why are they different? Compare. Do those comparisons and figure that out. And let me tell you, it makes a difference. It also makes a difference, I'll say the last reason about this concept, Mike, and there are some, and it's more than just a coincidence, there are some real estate agents that percentage-wise, and I wonder, they probably keep these statistics somewhere, that, you know, percentage-wise seem to get more people in the contract sooner than someone else would. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Again, we could do a show on that, but there's a whole system and process and mindset to doing that, and, yeah, that's a good point. We should
do that sometime.
Yeah, I definitely got some thoughts on that.
Like, what are the things...
Yeah,
you know, that make the difference in the agent that does that, because it is amazing how that switches and changes.
It does, definitely.
Any last thoughts about for sale by owner?
No, I think I beat up you guys pretty good here today. But if you have any other questions on this or thoughts or comments, just reach out, and I'm happy to banter.
Yeah, what's the best place to reach you?
You can go to my website, MikeDsells.com, or Mike@MikeDsells.com is my email, or 408-630-0101.
Great. Thanks again for checking in. Those that watching us the feed on Facebook, again, for more information, you could always go to RERadiolive.com. Until next time, take care. Have a great afternoon.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.